Thank you, Tommy. Good afternoon, everybody. And sorry for the heading being in Finnish. I thought I was going to give this in Finnish still a week ago, but this is flexibility delivered. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how Fortum, how we renewed our office and workplace concept to better support creativity, innovation, and also location-independent working. This change at Fortum was done as part of a bigger project. We renewed our company strategy. We got a new CEO 4 years ago, and he has fundamentally changed the Fortum I have known for 14 years now. We wanted to renew knowledge work, and we went together with real estate, HR, and communication to try to collaborate on to how to build a better workplace for all employees at Fortum. This is a case study, so I will tell you briefly what we done overall, but at the end I will focus on the actual tools that we implemented in the workplace, where Fujitsu played a big role. I will not give you so much about the theory, but after the coffee break there will be an interesting talk about actually the smart human-centric office given in the big Finlandia hall. So case study first, theory comes second. Great, so first about Fortum, I think most of you know a lot about Fortum. You are either customers or shareholders, or some maybe even both. As said here, we are the largest electricity retailer in the Nordics. We are one of the biggest district heating producers globally. We are also the third biggest energy generator in the Nordics. So we have this legacy of being a power company, but today we want to be a circular economy company. Our focus is more to be in the forefront of the energy technology and also in application development actually today. And our challenge really to deliver on all of this is to be in the forefront and to accelerate the innovation and commercialize new energy services. Only this way we can stay on top in the energy industry. And our vision is for a cleaner world. And for us, it's not only clean energy production. We want to commit to fuel and resource efficiency and making sustainable choices in everything that we do. We have 4 values: curiosity, responsibility, integrity, and respect. And with this form the foundation for all of these activities. If we look at the world around us today, there are global megatrends that affect us and all other businesses as well. I think Mikko Lampinen in his keynote this morning called these social challenges. We choose to call them, well, they are megatrends, but for us they are challenges, but they are also opportunities. We see that, of course, climate change and resource efficiency, the need for decarbonization is fundamental, and it's really changing the rules of the energy industry for first and foremost. And also the digitalization is speeding up this transition, and it requires constantly new capabilities from us. And we need to transition towards more cleaner energy sources and also to adopt a circular thinking, a circular economy thinking. And we have to say that the progress we have made in renewable energy is very encouraging, but there's still a lot of ground to cover. Also, Fortum has recently bought into the recycling and circular economy through acquisitions, and we see also that that's becoming a huge opportunity. Actually, an interesting fact is that the amount of waste produced in the world is doubling between 2015 and 2025. So 4 years ago and 5 years ahead of us. That's double the amount of waste being produced in this world. And so we want to be in that mega trend and really turn it into an opportunity. A third big shift will be active customers who will actually play a role in this electricity business, because the customers will themselves have a part of what we call the retail electricity business model. And there we see the opportunity. We will develop new digital electricity services for the consumers. So both challenges and opportunities we see in the megatrends. And this is something we need to respond to. And what we saw is that we really need to change our working culture. We have a huge, long history, of course, spanning almost 100 years in energy production, and we have been criticized of being a quite traditional and old-fashioned company in many ways. But if we want to achieve these new strategic goals, we cannot sit around in physical or organizational silos. We need to change our working culture fundamentally. And this we realized some 3 years ago. Another big question which arises, of course, now we have to respond to the world changing rapidly around us, is how can we innovate more? This is a key question, is how can you nurture, how can we create an environment where people will innovate? You can tell your employees to read 100 emails and respond to 100 emails per day or respond to 100 customer phone calls, but you cannot say that you have to innovate today. Or you can try, but the innovation will not be good for very much, I think. Our thinking is that by creating an environment where there's more and more opportunities for informal interaction, we can actually set the scene for more innovation. And this is what we have tried to do through office and through workplace design. We learned that the best ideas or the most productive thinking typically happens somewhere else than in the office. Well, that's not a surprise, maybe. What we actually did, we wanted to make people interact more. And of course, this is very hard coming from a Finnish culture where we are quite not very much at ease around people, and we don't like to maybe meet new people and start discussing our ideas openly. We have, as said in the previous slides, 8,300 persons working for Fortum today. An increasing amount of those are white-collar people, not very much more in the production. Most of these are highly skilled experts in their own area. But the challenge for us is really to break down the silos and get these experts to collaborate, to connect this expertise, and also to break down the walls between the teams and units. And we need something we call regenerative collaboration and agility. And we think that this way we will get future diamonds out of our current workforce. So what's the solution to this problem that we had ahead? Of course, you know it. It's always the solution in a big corporation. It's a project. So we did a project, and we decided to call it WOW to get some wow factor into it. So Fortum way of working. The WOW project we started some 3 years ago, and it was we wanted to bring the concept of flexibility and also change the rules of the game so we could choose how and where we work in the future. We wanted to offer really the flexibility for all our employees to work the way and in the place for the right environment for the task at hand. So we don't force them to sit at a table in the office from 9 to 5 every day if that's not what is really suited for what their task or role is. So this is when we really set out to renew our office design, but also together with that, we saw that we have to renew our leadership and our tools. And this went hand in hand with the strategy renewal that had come. So 3 years ago, we had a new CEO. He fundamentally wanted to change the way Fortum is operating. So this came very handy. We could connect this to that big change program. We saw that the key thing here is to really break down the organizational boundaries between units, and also we saw that the daily work has become more and more both flexible but also location independent. This came in a very good timing because our iconic headquarters in Espoo, you have probably all seen the old Neste Tower, which was built in 1976 and is still today the highest office building in Finland. Yes, there are many higher buildings, but this is still the highest office building at 84 meters. it's soon being surpassed by some other buildings here in the vicinity. This was becoming 40 years old and in big need of renovation, so we need to change the location of our headquarters. At the same time, we saw that yes, we also need a more flexible office with less named spaces, less walls, and we wanted to have an office which would create, as I said, possibility for informal meetings between people. And we needed meeting hotspots, such as communal coffee areas where you can sit and informally chat with your colleagues. And also more activities for outside work, like sports facilities. And we had actually tried this concept already because we have an office, our headquarters in Stockholm, where we have had free seating, open space office for some 6 or 7 years. So we had a good pilot project. We also saw that some of the processes in Fortum were obsolete and needed to be revamped completely to fit this. One big change we did immediately was that we actually instead of forcing people to come to the office and sit at the office from 9 to 5, we encouraged people to work remotely. And this was a fundamental change, actually. So actually, what we said was that teams can agree within themselves the rules and practices for when to come to the office and when not. And this has fundamentally changed the way we work, I think. We have seen that remote working actually increases the flexibility and also improves the work-life balance, obviously, and it's very much appreciated by many employees. But what it also does is we believe that it actually it will nurture innovation and creativity because you are allowed to work in a more familiar environment. And yes. So what did we do to accomplish this change? Of course, one thing was we need to also bring in new digital tools. Moving into a multi-space office with, especially with these activity-based zones that we have implemented, requires a lot of tools. I will tell you about those in a minute. What we wanted to have is really something which enables agile collaboration and rapid sharing of information. We also needed a leadership model which would support this change. What we did is we trained all our managers, all our team leaders from second level up to really be ambassadors of this change and to make it stick. So we had this kind of train-the-trainer approach. We had massive training programs in 2017 and 2018. And we are still actually continuing with this WOW project lectures for both employees and managers. So this was a big thing in really changing the way we work. So it's not tools only. We also focused more on employee well-being. We saw that employee who is happy and who is well-being is much more prone to work efficiently also when remotely, and also more flexible. And it's actually studied that employees are more efficient, committed and satisfied when they are happy, and of course when they are able to work remotely, as I said. So what we did to increase well-being, actually we focused more on the ergonomics of the office. So we saw that not everybody can sit on the same kind of office chair. Not everybody can have the same kind of table or the same kind of setup. So one size doesn't fit all. That's clear. But how are we then to standardize this? So that's really the paradox here. And also we wanted to provide our employees with more exercise opportunities. For instance, in our Keilahti new office, we have actually 2 different gyms and a group exercise facility, which are available there 24/7. But let me tell you a little bit more about the scope of the WOW project. As I said, the scope can be divided into 3 categories. What we actually did is we changed our leadership on the green area, we changed the tools in the middle here in the orange area, and we changed the facilities. The tools I want to focus on the tools here because this is a technology presentation. I guess most of you are like me from the IT part of things, so I think that's what we have time for today. Tools are also key in this. That's why I put them at the center. Tools we have implemented to support this transition towards a shared office space. First of all, we renewed completely our workplace concept, and that's what I will be telling you about later on, together with Fujitsu. We also implemented Skype meetings as the default. So previously we have, of course, it had been the choice of persons. Do you want to have a face-to-face meeting or do you want to have an online meeting? Today we have by default every meeting is also available on Skype or Teams. We put in Microsoft Surface Hubs in all our meeting rooms, almost globally. At all the big offices, we started off by doing this investment. So Microsoft Surface Hub is an interactive whiteboard with a built-in complete Skype room system. So we replaced all our legacy video conferencing equipment, all our projectors, all our big screens in the meeting rooms with Surface Hubs. Also, we implemented Office 365 2 years ago, and that was also one key step towards stopping employees from hoarding information and keeping their information in silos or in emails and start sharing and collaboration across devices. And we also had to implement, of course, you cannot improve what you cannot measure, so we implemented a survey tool which we use almost weekly to measure the commitment and satisfaction of all the employees working in the smart office. And this is key to see that we can also catch up on the weak signals that if people are becoming increasingly unhappy, something needs to be done, right? We also need a new way to record working time. People cannot punch in and punch out anymore if they are not coming to the office anymore at all. So we have to have some other smarter way of doing that, right? And also we implemented an intelligent building system which lets us see where the colleagues are moving. It has indoor positioning. We have sensors under all the tables. We have sensors which tell about the temperature and a lot of other things about the office, so you can really find an optimal seat for you. There are actually many of these tools are presented here in the meeting area here at this event today. So please, if you're interested in these, I'm also happy to share our experiences around these. But now I will focus more in this presentation on the actual workplace. Okay, then to the actual move that we did. So, as I mentioned, the old iconic head office was becoming 40 years old. It was built in 1976 and still being the highest office building in Finland, it had to go through a serious renovation now. What we did, the magnitude of this, I have just lifted some figures from what the magnitude of change which we did. We reduced the office space needed for our headquarters in Finland by over 60%. We used to be scattered over 25 floors at 4 different addresses. Now we squeezed all these 1,100 employees and some hundreds of consultants into almost 1/3 of the square meters. So you can imagine that really requires some office design and workplace design so that people will still be coming to the office at all. And that was the interesting part here. So we actually, this is where we save the money. We started off from a traditional, albeit open plan office. So yes, some people still even have their own rooms. I even had my own room in that building 10 years ago. But now we moved to a multi-space office with activity-based zones where nobody, even our CEO, does not have his own room. So he uses a shared desk like everybody else. We shifted from being always at the office 9 to 5 to a flexible work culture where you can work wherever you want. And as I mentioned, we shifted from old office technology towards new office technology, which lets us collaborate more efficiently and also with people sitting remotely. This multi-space office, for us it means we have a shared desk policy. We actually implemented the clean desk policy that you can study here today at this Fujitsu event. But let me tell you a little bit more about the tools, because that's where I come from. So what my team delivered in this change, which we did, so we moved actually in the beginning of 2018, so 1.5 years ago almost, we did the big office move. To be able to fit into this new office with reduced square meters, a lot of new technology had to be brought in. So we completely revamped the workplace concept. We had to build a new, not only meeting room reservation, but actually reservation systems for all kinds of assets, whether it's desks or meeting rooms or what have you. A new time reporting system, obviously, new visitor management system, new intelligent building system, which lets us interact with the building in a more smart way. And also we had to reinvent the IT support. We cannot have local support because it cannot come to you if you are not there, so it actually you have to go to the IT support. So we have so-called walk-in centers instead. But let me focus on the first bullet point here and tell you about the workplace concept, because here we shared a vision together with Fujitsu. So this slide is stolen with pride from Fujitsu. We shared a vision with Fujitsu about how the new workplace should look like, and I think the requirements that were presented in this, I think this is a 2-year-old slide, fit very well with the ones we had. So we saw that first of all, the key concept here really is the compatibility. Well, we had a very homogeneous workstation pool, so for us it wasn't so much of an issue. But we knew that acquisitions and mergers would happen, and we knew that there would come in new PCs, other models than the ones we are having, Macs, what have you. So we need to be prepared for that. We also saw that usability is a key factor. If you are supposed to move around the office throughout the day and dock your PC 5 or 10 times, it has to be fast, right? Also, the ergonomics of this, it has to be top-notch. You cannot spend 5 minutes or 10 minutes adjusting the seat, the table height, the monitors every time you dock at a desk. So these were really the requirements that we also had. So we could really adopt this slide and we thought that this looks fairly good. What we really said that when you have to create one standard that is supposed to be not only acceptable but desirable to over 1,000 employees, it has to be darn good, right? You cannot just try to find the lowest common denominator and say, hey, this will work for most of the people. It has to be really good. And actually, the standard we implemented, the first version of it, looked like this. So very similar to the previous picture. We equipped 850 desks in our new head office with exactly this setup. Of course, we have a motorized table and an ergonomic chair. We have several chair models available, but the key here is we did immediately we went for a USB docking station. Previously, we used to have model-specific docking stations. Of course, that's not an option anymore. We wanted that the docking should be a fast process. So in this version, you had to still connect the charger and the USB-A cable separately. Of course, the desk needs to have also spaces for you to charge your phone. Somewhere to, it needs to have an external mouse and keyboard. It needs to have really good monitors, and we really fell in love with this model that Fujitsu offered. It was better than the high-end monitors we used to buy before. So we now have as a standard twin 24-inch monitors in this kind of a dual monitor stand. It somewhat reduces the possibility to move the monitors around, but then again, this is a good, maybe a good compromise, because we don't want them to be in all different kinds of positions. If you want to dock fast and have a be able to work efficiently. Some degree of freedom we have to reduce there. We have fixed network through this USB hub, and as I said, we have a keyboard and mouse, still wired ones. We didn't go for wireless here. These are very cheap to replace. So whenever there's a outbreak of a virus or there's a flu period, we can just throw away all the old keyboards and mice and buy new ones because they are dirt cheap, right? And as I said, we have free power outlets and USB outlets on the table. So this was the first standard, and now we have a little bit been tweaking this together with Fujitsu, and we have now a new version of this actually. We are, if you want to see how this look, you can go to the expo area here. We can actually see also the robotic arms that you can have behind the 24-inch displays to move them around separately. We are trying out those. We also now switched to a hybrid USB-C docking station, which lets us dock with just one cable. So the USB-C, of course, also charges the most workstations, except some that have a really high power consumption. But for 99%, it's really a one plug and play solution. We are also now piloting this 34-inch curved display, which some people really love, others hate it. So some people say, "Give me back my twin 24-inch." I don't know. We still haven't concluded which is the best one, but I think we are going for this for some of the zones. As I mentioned, we have activity-based office with 3 different zones. So we have collaboration, communication, and concentration. And maybe in the concentration zone, where people are typically working by themselves on maybe big spreadsheets, CAD project or so, it might be good to have everything on one screen. Whereas in a collaboration or communication zone, it's more fast-paced. You want to do several. You want to try to multitask. I know people are not good at that really, but we want all to try to have our Skype in one screen and have our Excel in the other and our PowerPoint in the laptop or whatever. So this is what we are, the newest development in this area. So what next? We are really excited because we have now the opportunity to roll out the same concept also in our 2 other head offices. So we are actually moving in both Stockholm and Oslo during the next year. So in Oslo, our new head office, which is really next door to our old head office, is just being completed as we speak. So we are moving in September, October timeframe this year. We are equipping 400 workspaces there with the same concept. Actually, both of these offices are also multi-tenant buildings where Fortum is just renting 2 or 3 floors. So we don't believe in having our own building anymore, or owning buildings or walls for that matter. The other one is a little bigger project in Stockholm. We are moving to Solna, and there we have 2 floors in this new Solna United, which is being built as we speak, and there we will have some 650 workplaces. We believe that this activity-based office will work also in these settings, but we have to tweak the concept a little bit. There has been a lot of discussion around it. As you know, it's a very controversial subject. Some people love it, some people hate it, and it leaves no one cold. I think it could justify a presentation of its own. We are measuring it, as I said, almost weekly to try to fine-tune the concept to make it even better. So the next steps for us is really that we are fine-tuning and rolling out both this workplace concept, but also a meeting room concept, which we have done. So we're trying to roll them out globally now. And we are also continuing with the change management program, trying to get our leaders and managers to get their teams to be excited and motivated about this change. So I think I'll leave a couple of minutes for questions. At this point, I'll just tell you that maybe the key learnings here, what I took from this project is that really, if you need to create one standard that has to be not only acceptable but desirable to this many employees, you better make it good. You have to make a really good concept, so don't go cheap. And the other thing is, if you, next time I need to justify a huge investment in technology like this, it's much easier if you can connect it to the company's strategy and to the values and to the vision. So that was really a key driver in getting this done and getting the funding for this. So, thank you very much, and if you're interested in this, I said I will be here in the coffee area during the break also. You can ask questions now. There's a really good theory lecture about this given after the coffee break in the big hall about the smart human-centric office.
Indeed. Thank you, Niklas.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments to Niklas regarding this topic? We can again have this catch box and play some ball here. There has to be now at least one question because I want to throw this again. Someone? In that case, I have a couple of questions actually myself. So you already talked about the pulse surveys that you are conducting in the organization. Can you talk about the outcomes or what has happened? Do you know how the satisfaction levels have moved during this project and now that this has been in place for some time already?
Yes, I do. And to be honest, they are varying. But we see a positive trend there. So that's the key for us. The first days when we moved into the new office, people had to adapt to many things. Not having their own desk, not having trying just to get to dock their computer to a new USB, the hub and whatever. I saw people even crying. They were so desperate. But of course, it's been more downhill since that. So we had actually floor walkers from IT walking around helping people. Most of the people didn't really need help with the computer. They needed a hug because they were so desperate about the new situation and the office being so different and just finding the coffee machine and what have you. But yes, I think motivation has been increasing and also commitment. But then we see gradual also happiness with the office concept growing, but we have to fine-tune it all the time. There's constantly things happening. People are really voting with their feet.
So if you started this kind of initiative or project today, are there some corrective actions or some changes that you would actually want to implement right away if you started again?
Absolutely, yes. This concept to work, it needs governance. So you need to have, as I said, it's a multidisciplinary project. It's not something you can do from IT. You need real estate, you need HR, and you need probably communication in that and some other. And I know this is a cliche, but you need the governance also, and you need a governance body which represents all these functions, which is regularly meeting and fine-tuning the concept and being the police, because otherwise people start, units start reserving rooms saying this is our territory, don't come here, this is our project room, this is my desk, don't come here. So you need a police to enforce the rules, yeah, unfortunately.
Any other questions, comments? No, there's one. Good catch.
Thank you. Do you have any limitations about distant work? And what do you do if everyone decides to come to office at the same time?
Very good questions. As I said, we don't have any common rules, but we have said that all teams should make their own rules for this. So it's up to the team leader or the manager to set the rules for his or her team. And I do know that there are some teams who almost never come to the office, and we don't see that as a problem. Sorry, what was your other question?
So if everyone comes
Yes.
to the office, what happens then?
Yes, actually I experienced that on Monday last week. Or I thought I did. It was actually, we had some new summer workers coming in at the same time as almost everybody had decided that this is a good day to come into the office. We saw occupancy rates above 90% in some floors. We are measuring it constantly. We can see it throughout the day. Of course, we have seats for everybody, and most people are sitting in meeting rooms. So we have 850 workplaces, yes, and we might have 1,300 people coming into the office. It doesn't mean that anybody has to sit on the floor. You can still have a chair and a table, but it might not be one of those chairs and tables that we just saw. But then again, if I go to the office, it's mostly to have meetings, to sit in a meeting room and to discuss with my team. And so I don't need to have that kind of a setup all the time. But yeah, very, very relevant point.
Really good. Any additional questions? There's one.
I'd actually like to continue what she just asked. The security limitations or rules or guidelines, or how do you control the remote work from the security point of view? What are you allowed to do, and how do you control it?
Good question. we have security guidelines for all employees. We have e-learnings telling about how you should protect the information. We have very good endpoint protection in our workstations and our mobile devices to prevent data loss and to prevent also leaking of information. But ultimately, of course, it's the employee delivering the last mile. If you decide to sit in a cafe without your screen guard on your computer or having a loud Skype meeting about secret stuff, that's against the rules, but that's a risk, of course. But other than that, we don't have any special rules. I think we were more concerned about the safety if people are to work from home. Is the ergonomy right there? Do they have a good chair? And we decided we will not start buying chairs or monitors or workplace. We will decide a very good workplace at the office. We will try to really get people to come to the office by offering a superior workplace at the office, better than they have at home. So that's the way.
Are they allowed to connect their home devices to their work PC?
Yes, they are.
Keyboards, mice, and so on.
Yes, they are. If it's possible to connect.
USB drives and so on.
Yeah, we have policies about that, usage policies, but if it's possible to connect it, most of it is allowed, yes.
Okay, it's 2 p.m. and next we have coffee break, but big hand to Niklas. Thank you for a good presentation.